This is RadioFire.com. Yours truly, Diamond K, in here. Thank you for joining me. Broadcasting from the Radio and Fire Studios here in Baltimore, Maryland. A lot of things I want to talk about, a lot of things I want to get into. This first segment is entertainment based, but it's always a bit of entertainment mixed with with other stuff. When you talk about today's hip hop scene, we talked about Troy Ave. Troy Ave is a rapper from New York City. He was on The Breakfast Club today for an interview. Now, Troy Ave has been making headlines for a minute. It's independent rap artist, and doing his thing or whatever. And what's interesting about Troy Ave is he is a street rapper. He said that on the interview he did not want to be labeled a gangster rapper because he raps about other topics. And so I get you on that. I really enjoyed this interview, and I'm a fan of Troy Ave. I like his music. I think that some of the decisions that he's made have confused me, but I think that really in this interview he showed growth. He showed that he's in a different space. And he sat down, as I said, with The Breakfast Club. For those that may not be familiar with Troy Ave has a pending case going. He was locked up for discharging a weapon in a nightclub in Irving Plaza a little while back. If you remember that, he was arrested for that. And there was actual video of him discharging a weapon. And the initial thoughts of that is that, he discharged the weapon, he shot the gun, it's in the club, someone was killed, and he did kill him. That's the way that it initially seemed. He was released from jail, and then it turns out somebody else ended up getting locked up for that same situation. And what's Troy Ave is an artist, so he raps about things that are happening in his life, as he said. And he recently rapped some lyrics on a song, or did a music video for a song that speaks about the incident, the incident that took place. And during the music video and in the song, he alludes to possibly taking a stand, possibly testifying, this type of stuff. And a lot of people gave him flack. Some people went as far as say that he was a snitch, or he was saying that he was going to snitch, or something to that effect. And I for one thought at least to ask the question, if he is a gangster rapper, or if he's doing street reality based music, was this going to hurt his career? And that was the talk when I saw the video. That's what I thought. At least to ask the question, is this going to hurt him? Can he do this? Can he get away with this and still have his street credit? So he came on The Breakfast Club today to speak about it. But before we even get to that, as you can see from the picture here, this is Angela Yee, DJ Envy, and Troy Ave in the middle. Coincidentally missing from the photo, as you can see was not there, is Charlamagne the God. And Charlamagne, when the whole situation went down, gave a long, speech about his thoughts on Troy Ave. Troy Ave has been on their show before, and he said all these things. He gave Troy Ave the donkey of the day, and was very vocal, calling him a snitch, all that type of stuff. So I just knew that when Troy Ave came back to The Breakfast Club, that Charlamagne the God was going to be there to address him. He was going to call out this, supposed snitch face to face, right? He was going to do that, right? But no, as you may have guessed, Charlamagne did not show up. Why did he not show up? Was he scared to show up? Was he shook? Of course, he said many times he's not a street guy. And to me, you don't have to be a street guy. You said some things, and you should be able to sit across to or next to Troy Ave and say those same things. But Charlamagne, who's always somebody who talks all this trash, did not show up. And it wasn't about you got to fight him or anything like that, but you should be able to sit there and look this man in his eye and say some of the things that you said when he wasn't in the studio. But there was no Charlamagne the God. And as I said, Troy Ave, I think, is a good example of staying true to yourself. He said a lot of things, and I really think that he may have changed the perception of some people in regards to this. So he gave a lot of hypotheticals. He gave a lot of scenarios that, you know, he definitely prefaced stuff by saying, this is not referring to my case. I don't mean this is not my own situation, and all of that. But we talk about, was Troy Ave a snitch if he took the stand? Does Charlamagne the God lose points for not showing up today for this interview? I would say that is a question that we need to ask. He really punked out more than usual. More than usual. I definitely think that Troy Ave is intelligent. I do. I don't necessarily think that he always was able to articulate what he wanted to say, but he definitely is woke. I definitely think that, you know, he said that the streets were not real. He said that the streets were not real. Streets didn't love you. And he talked about the fact that when he has to go to court or things like that, that the streets are not there. Streets aren't there at those times. Streets are there, of course, in the good times and all that. And he talked about hate. He talked about people hating, and I think that he made a good showing for himself today. I think that it would have been nice if Charlamagne was there to address some of the questions from a hating standpoint, but the main shit starter was not there. Now, DJ Envy did the bulk of the interview. Angela Yee jumped in here and there, but I thought that Envy pretty much said some things. So he said that he was not a street guy anymore. He didn't go by street rules. He said that at times he held grudges against people, and I guess he was kind of encouraging Troy Ave not to hold grudges. Troy Ave talked about the fact that he did all the things that he's done without a cosign. He talked about the fact that he has, just been doing his thing, and he doesn't go out unless he's getting paid because he doesn't want any trouble. And he just wants to do his thing. He thinks a lot of times people are fronting, and a lot of these rappers, he thinks that he has more money than them, and whatever. And he wants to stay out of trouble. I think that it's interesting that one thing that I would want to say to Troy Ave is that I understand that you're coming at things from a different perspective. I understand that. And if the streets are not real, and if you are moving differently now, why is the content of your music still the same? That would be a question that I would ask. And if you're rapping about those things, I think that the street rules, may apply to you if that's what you're rapping about. That's all I'm saying. But that's my opinion. That doesn't mean that that's the actual opinion. They definitely try to put Troy Ave in a box by saying that he's a gangster rapper. I myself have said that. I myself have said Troy Ave is a gangster rapper. I don't know. I heard him say that he does gospel songs and other type of songs. I haven't heard these songs. So maybe I need to dig deeper and do my homework and listen for some of these songs, but I haven't heard them. I've heard him rap about street shit, okay? The name of his street album, mixtape is White Christmas 5, okay? That is not about gospel stuff. You know what I mean? The street guy, it might be about the street gospel, but not gospel in the terms where you can put him in a religious category. But he did talk about God a lot. He sounded humble at times. Now, of course, when speaking about the gentleman that died, who was a friend of his, the relationship with the brother of his deceased friend and the mother. At times, naturally, he got a little emotional. You can see maybe he might get a little choked up, but I thought that was necessary to show, because there's been a lot of back and forth about that. I really hope that they can work that thing out amongst the family of the deceased guy, the gentleman that was killed in the nightclub, which is really a big part of this whole case. Who killed the guy? Who fired the shot? I don't know if that's ever going to be found out. Troy Ave did come with a lot of facts. He was speaking on things from a grown man's perspective. This is not going to change everybody's mind about him. Some people are going to think that he is still being a snitch. I just don't know. And he gave his definition. And I think it's a general, universal definition. If you do a crime with somebody and you get caught and they don't, and you tell on them, that's snitching. Now, if me and you get into an altercation, and during this altercation somebody gets killed, and I tell my version of events, is that snitching? That seems to be the case that Troy Ave was trying to make. That's what it seemed like to me. And I don't know. Do you take a body? Do you take a murder charge for your enemy as opposed to telling the story as to what happened? And if you tell the story as to what happened, is that snitching? What the hell is snitching anyway? So he's just basically saying that these street rules don't apply, and the street rules are not even real life. He talked about people hating on the LGBT community. He talked about people hating on, as far as racism. He talked about people just regular hating. I was impressed with the way he handled himself. I was. I feel that Envy and Angela came in pretty good with questions. They didn't grill him with questions, but Troy Ave is a good interview, and he's able to articulate things to a point that you can understand what he's saying. And he's speaking from the heart. So people that's not in the hip-hop community may not get what he's saying, all that. He may come off as ignorant to them. He used the word ignorant. He said that in the past he was ignorant. Now he's not. Some people I saw said online that he was talking that street shit, and then once he got pinched, then he got woke all of a sudden because he didn't want to deal with the real consequences of his actions or the actions that he was rapping about or whatever. Charlamagne says that he's not a street guy, but you don't have to be a street guy to give comments. I just feel that, but if you're going to give comments, if Charlamagne's going to be this authority, quote unquote authority for giving his opinion about pop culture, you gotta be able to sit there when the person comes. That's all I'm saying. Everybody talks the gangster stuff, and then when real gangster stuff happens, it gets a little crazy. But all in all, I think that Charlamagne is definitely taking a hit. I haven't even seen what everybody was saying. I've seen a lot of people talk about negative about him not showing up for the interview. But I just think he was show. He's going to say he had the flu. Maybe he's going to say he had the bird flu. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, at The Diamond K Show, at Radio on Fire. Of course, new episodes are always available on demand. RadioOnFire.com.